I'm Jim Check. You're watching Now Media with me, Rob Cupello. I'm not sure if we ever done a show together.
I think we did one.
Did we?
A while back.
But we're going to do a lot more. We're going to do them on AI. You're our AI expert. You're getting certified in AI. You're traveling basically all around North America right now. And you just got back from the Upper Bound Conference in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Maybe just share a little bit of what you learned at the Upper Bound Conference, AI conference.
Yeah, it was quite the facility there. So they were running, I think it was just neat how they even ran it. There was like about 12 stages at once going in the big
Edmonton Convention Center.
Edmonton Convention Center. And you put on your headsets and you just tune in to the stage you want to listen to. So I thought that was kind of cool, just using technology that way. But it was really neat because they had different stages set up. So each of them were around a vertical, like AI in health, AI in technology, or sorry, AI in education and all that stuff. And they had pitch decks. But one thing that I've always really interested in was the AI in health side. I thought I listened to a lot of that, how they're using scribes to like record conversations with patients and able to take that and help diagnose, help doctors, because we all know our medical system is struggling right now. So I think we did an article on that today. So they're trying to find how this technology can help overworked doctors and nurses, or not even having enough nurses.
Yeah, because then they got to go back and they got to put all the notes in and stuff like that, right? So that they can actually go serve another patient.
Correct. So it would actually transcribe, and then you would even get a record. So you would have access, you would have a dashboard, where the problem lies right now is none of these systems talk to each other, because they all control data and they all control privacy. So they're trying to work ways and be able. So that was a real big takeaway. And the other side, I have a passion for AI in education and how they're trying to use this in the classrooms a lot more, but they're getting resistance because the teachers don't want to use it. Because
they likely think they might be losing their job.
They're scared they're going to lose their job, so they're not using this technology, right? So, but a real sort of underlying thing for me is that there's businesses that a stat showed that only 24% businesses in Canada are using AI, which means ChatGPT, and only
some form,
and only 9% or something are actually paying for it. So the adoption in Canada is like abysmal compared to other G7 nations.
Yeah, UAE just bought a paid version of ChatGPT for all citizens.
Correct. And that's what we need to get there, because that's where I think some of my frustration is, that I think people feel like, well, it's coming or it's not for me. These tools are here. Like, they can really help businesses, and our adoption rate in Canada is almost non-existent, non-existent.
I talked to like a lady, probably, I wouldn't say like maybe in, like she's probably mid-40s, and she was working on one of the floors here. And we were getting down the elevator, and I asked her, somehow AI came up. And she said, "Oh, I don't use AI. Like, I like doing things the old-fashioned way." And I said, "Well, I mean, you drive a car, right? You can still ride a horse, right? So the technology is coming, whether or not we like it. Really,
100%.
That is the thing, and it is, and I use it like almost all the time as well. And one of the cooler things that I found with ChatGPT recently is that the video option, if you turn it on voice mode, and then the video, you can either point the video in front of you or behind you. But I've used it in the gym when I'm working out, and I will actually, and then I'll say, am I doing this with proper form? And it actually in real time will tell me, hey, no, Jim, move your shoulders back a bit, and move this back a bit.
That's crazy.
And make sure your knees are up over your feet and stuff like that. And then I haven't used it yet, but I'm going to try it with my golf swing.
So have it just set up and analyze your golf swing.
Yeah, I mean, it does so many things. Like, you can upload photos, obviously, and have it analyze photos. And then I used it just before we came on and pointed out the window here, like on our live shot here. And I said, where is this? And it's just like, Jim, by the looks of that looks like the beautiful city of Kelowna. Yeah. And it obviously ChatGPT now has that inflection in there and a little bit more empathy and different things. Yeah. And so it recognized Kelowna.
That's crazy.
Pretty impressive, right?
Well, and I think that where I like using it too, I was just talking to a client this morning about it, is that if you're a small company, you might not have a CMO and a CTO and a CFO all on staff. Well, ChatGPT can act like that for you.
For many things, for sure, right?
Right. Like, you can put it in roles, and you could actually ask it to do things, to build strategy. Is it, it's not the end all be all, but this was interesting because this came out of the conference. There was one of my favorite speakers there. He was talking about people use ChatGPT, and we always say we bring it in and we humanize it. His argument that you're not using it right if you're doing that. You should be able.
Stop being polite.
Correct. Because the tool should be able to write better than I can, because it's got all the knowledge that's ever happened, right? So we're just not using it right. That you should be able to actually write blogs or write posts that you don't have to edit if it's done.
One of the things that I really like recently, because I write some more complicated articles, and is the editing, where you can actually,
Canvas.
you just tell ChatGPT in Canvas, you say, I want to edit this document, and it pulls up this split screen, and now you can change things, or you can rewrite things, you can add paragraphs in, you can do all kinds of things. And it's like, because in the first iterations, it was like, oh, I'll rewrite it for you. And then it gives you a completely different thing. You're just like, no, I want some of that back.
Yeah, you'll never get it back.
It was like some of the photos it does do this, and it just like gives you something else. And you're just like, so it is accelerating at an accelerating pace. And I think that's the most important thing. I think that for people to recognize that it is accelerating that accelerating pace.
Well, and I think there's the status is I think there's $1 billion a day going into AI. Like, so you think, what Elon's doing with Grok and Optimus, right? We're talking about robotics, OpenAI. They just spent $6 billion buying that technology company.
I think the interesting one right there is, I think that is one of the most interesting things what Sam Altman did with Johnny Ive. Because Johnny Ive, I don't know if people watch the Jobs story, the Steve Jobs story. Johnny Ive was one of the key guys, and because he said to him, like, build anything you want and envision it and don't be hampered it. And Johnny Ive is really the creator of the iPhone. Yep. And Steve Jobs is more the orchestra.
Yeah, visionary.
The conductor in the orchestra.
100%.
And Johnny Ive, Steve Wozniak in the first part with the computers, and then Johnny Ive was the second generation of Steve Jobs.
And that's what I'm excited about now, because now they're going to get into technology. And they said, the first one they're working on is something like almost like a pin you wear.
Yeah, the deviceless kind of like device.
And it's funny because people are like, why wouldn't they? Why are you doing a watch? Why are you doing it? But we never thought about an iPhone way back when. So what's the new technology? And I think it's getting closer to this singularity. Like, I'm fascinated about singularity, that we just become one with AI, that we're always wearing it. I mean, you talk about that with fashion. Like, fashion's changing where it's going to be built into
more fashion, form, and function, as opposed to, and that's what like a lot of people give me grief on it, but. You build, not much of the clothing these days has technology in mind, other than the athleisure brand actually builds your technology in with the pocket that's built in for it, and some of the fabrics that actually help you breathe and stretch and massage your you know what I mean, like actually help you during the day. But the Johnny Ive thing, I think, is really important. I think because Apple, we're both fans of Apple. Apple's been huge, but ever since Steve Jobs is gone, there's really no iterations, I think, or new products that's come out of Apple, other than Apple Vision, which really hasn't taken off. I mean, it's pretty cool, but it's cumbersome. Siri and Alexa are probably tiny for the dumbest kids in the room.
Poor Alexa.
You know what I mean? Like, they're absolutely really abysmal, both of them, right? Yeah. Like, if you use Siri and say, Siri, call Rob, and it's like, calling Kim. Yeah.
No, they are there. And Apple hasn't advanced in the AI side.
They've given up, actually. I think they said that Apple Intelligence came out, and they said, okay, we're going to shelve it for 2 years.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. The Apple Intelligence was launching, and then they're just like, about that. Not so much. But you've been everywhere, though. Like, you've been down to the States at conferences, and you're building, and you're taking this mentorship course from some of the best in AI. And it's about how do we integrate AI into companies, I guess. Yeah. And then, because obviously competitive edge, right? Because if you can do stuff faster, cheaper, and better than your competitors, and that's going to be the key, right?
Well, and I think that's when I'm talking to businesses, and you hit the nail on the head. I think there's tools there now that can help your business today, like literally today. So we can work with businesses there, but everyone's different. Talking to a business that I'd love to see how we could potentially use this so they can actually do. He actually wants to do more with less, or less with more. They want to actually close every second Friday. Right? Can we build automation? Or some businesses like, can I see an extra patient every day? Do you think what it means to the bottom line to build automation? But I mean, I don't know. We can speak even just with our company. Like we can now run our company with less using AI technology.
And I would say the biggest thing, the better you get it, you can 10x yourself.
100%. And you should.
And I think that is the biggest thing.
The hard thing right now, I think we talked about today, is that sometimes you chase the squirrel, right? Because there's so much new, and you can go down a path and like
the baby one.
I was just gonna say
the useless stuff, right? The useless fruit that's hanging in the tree, right? Yeah. So like it's cute,
correct?
Because it's like you can put your voice on a baby avatar, and it's funky and it's cool and it's worth a social media like or two.
but
it has no.
it's not 10x in you.
Yeah, it has no real value
No.
to anybody other than a laugh, and we do need a laugh.
Well,
every
for
now
sure.
and then,
Yeah.
but it's not. That's the gimmick, right? I mean, there's lots of like gimmicks out, but you gotta get to the root of the tree. Right. How do you what is your business? And process analysis, obviously, the big one.
That's the big thing. Is us. We would come into a business and actually analyze the business, everything from marketing to operations, and then HR, and finding ways to automate. And the big thing right now is you can automate a lot of your workflow, and then add AI into it, and that's where the power comes. Because there are tools out there that will literally answer the phone and book a meeting for you. Like you can have that.
Well, I've seen the conversations where it has, and then there's LLMs out right now that are actually going out searching the web and buying products and doing different things.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you read that piece from the Anthropic CEO, and he was just kind of like not pulling any punches and saying. And I would advise people to go listen to those guys, right? Yeah. He's saying like a lot of jobs, white collar jobs is the jobs. It's not the blue collar jobs that it's really going after first, right? It's the guys that are sitting in front of the computers, like you and me are doing right now.
Yeah,
we're the ones at risk, right? So, because if the computer can do it, why does it need you?
Correct.
Right? You know, if you're sitting in front of a computer, the computer probably doesn't need you anymore, right?
No, so, and he was saying, I mean, Sam Altman and even Elon's talking about like Peter Diamandis about. AI will replace jobs, but you're just going to find something else to do. Well, he's saying the complete opposite. He's saying it's because we're advancing so fast, humans can't even keep up to it. It's going to displace people, and he goes, the unemployment will rise 2, 3, 4, 5%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot. 2 percentage points in unemployment is a big. So he's painting a little bit of a different picture. He doesn't agree with Sam Altman necessarily, but Sam Altman used to be his boss. So because when he left, he used to be at OpenAI before he went to Anthropic. But he's saying no, like this stuff is advancing so fast that it's not going to even give time for humans to actually find another role within a company. So it's coming. Like I think you and I talked about, like there's in China mining sites 100% autonomous.
With the vehicles, like the mining equipment is. And
it's not coming. It's happening right now.
It's happening right now. Yeah. Right. And that gives them competitive advantage, right? And like I said, I recommend people to go listen to the likes of Jensen Huang, Sam Altman, Alex Karp, Elon Musk. Some of these guys are leaders, right?
Yeah, and Elon's come back in now. He's a lot more active in his company now, right outside.
Yeah, so the Doge thing is like. Yeah, I don't think he realized how much the tentacles went in deep, right? And he got strawman
for sure. And I think now he's back, and he's very focused on building these things, right? Which I think they missed him obviously when he wasn't there, right? Because he's a visionary there.
Did you watch his speech yesterday? We don't get too much down the Elon rabbit hole, but that I'd recommend people watch that too, because that is one of the biggest things that's ever happened. If that mission gets pulled off, that's bigger than the Apollo mission. So,
and we're trying to. The guy from Anthropic said the number one thing we're trying to do is that there's really 4 or 5 big companies in the U.S. They got to beat China. Yeah, but that's really, he said.
They're not pulling back. I mean, all these people that are screaming that we got to stop, we got to stop.
No.
China's not stopping. Russia's not stopping. None of them are stopping, right? So
maybe we are. Like we're not seeing it.
Canada,
that's where I struggle, right? That's where I get frustrated. Is because we're not seeing the adoption in Canada. And we're not doing a lot.
We want to regulate.
Correct.
We want to regulate.
We're more of the European. We're following
we want to regulate,
European side, which stifles innovation and stifles growth, and that's a frustration, a little bit of a frustration from my point of view, because I'm seeing it. I went to the U.S. I was in Oregon. Lots of people in the room adopting, doing this stuff.
Lots of energy.
Yeah, right. And you go to Edmonton, and it's like they're teaching people how to just prompt ChatGPT right now. And I'm like, wait a minute, like that was a year or 2 years ago. Like we need to be implementing this stuff now, so we're falling behind.
Yeah, no, I think that's the big thing. You know, like how do you integrate it into your business to make your business, especially in this economy, right?
Yeah.
Like how do you make your business better? And we're going to do this on a weekly basis. We're going to talk about some of the most important things. We just want to kind of do this as an introduction. And like I said, you know, when you go to a conference, what did you learn? I find when we circle back in that conference you're at, simultaneously they have like 6, 7 presentations going at the same time. You're just using headphones, and you can kind of, you know, go back and forth in there. Yeah. And kind of interesting, but you know, and you said the lights change colors to match that.
So if you're on the blue stage, you can turn into the blue stage. So if you're a speaker and you all of a sudden from blue to red, you're like, oh, I just lost this guy.
If you look out in the room and it's just to see him and just one blue guy.
Yeah, I mean, the idea was okay, but what I don't like is that if I'm sitting beside you, we can't have an interaction because we're sitting with our headphones. But I get the idea. There literally was 7 stages at once. If everyone's been to the big room in the Edmonton Convention Center, that's 7 stages at once going, and then some breakouts. But I mean, the concept is cool because you can run, because I might be interested in one topic and not the other.
You can run a multitude of speakers.
That's why they did it, right? It made sense.
And it was a few days too, right? So
4 days.
4 days. And did they run the same speakers over and over?
No.
So, okay, so if you had to choose, literally
Correct.
choose at
You
that
build
moment.
your agenda, and then some speakers did different talks, but then the last day was full workshops. All day workshops.
Okay.
So and you can kind of jump in and out of the workshops, but yeah, no, it was action packed. Like it's crazy, and it's one of the bigger. There's 2 big events in Canada. Well, now there's the Web Summit happening as we speak in Vancouver, but it's more than just AI. But this one, and there's one in Montreal. That the 2 big Canadian AI events. Upperbound is one big one. So. But yeah, it was good. I did find the topics, like I said, a little bit too entry level. I think people. I'd like to see us go past this and actually start showing how businesses can start using this stuff in day-to-day rather than just prompting ChatGPT. I think there's more to it.
So you were in Edmonton during Oiler Nation or whatever.
I wandered around one of the games or outside. It was kind of fun. Yeah, no, it was kind of
lots of signs up, I'm sure.
It's cool. You know, the one thing I have to say is cool because you lived in Edmonton, so you went through this. Like in BC, we haven't had much.
Not a lot of luck.
No. So, but it's cool to actually see a city. I have to say, the one thing is like everyone, it doesn't matter where you go, they're all wearing jerseys. Like that's kind of cool, the community side. I mean, we have World Cup coming next year here, so we get a little bit of that. But one of the talks which was interesting was AI in hockey. How now in AI in basketball, like how stats in real time. Like that's why if you see them looking at iPads on the bench, like a lot, and they're saying that eventually goalies will have technology built in that will give them real-time response.
Like what that guy's going to do, like Moneyball. Remember the movie
totally.
Moneyball? I mean, it's all about stats, right?
Yeah.
And it just allows you to crunch more data.
Correct.
Right?
And it does it in real time.
Data.
Yeah.
You can fact check people like crazy too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can actually fact check people like this age of misinformation and disinformation that even politicians put out. Like I just fact checked Melanie Jolie.
Oh yeah, I saw your post. The 2.2% or
yeah, you just fact check, just like just no, it's just pointless to mislead nowadays because you can be fact checked in a second. Actually, I think me and Ian do the news every day. We're actually going to start using ChatGPT as our fact check to fact check us.
That's pretty funny.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, Jim, come on.
Actually,
let's be honest here.
You're an X user. I see a lot of people say, what do you think about this, Grok? Or tell me what you think, Grok. So they're actually using the tool to fact check in real time, which is
it's I think it's going to be tougher and tougher. Like people say it's going to be just a sea of misinformation. I'd say it's the opposite.
I think so.
I think you're going to get fact checked more often, and the differences between the models is interesting as well. And then maybe we'll wrap this up as our introductory show, and we're going to do it every week. And we're going to put a little link down here too. Like Rob runs some AI courses too, if you're looking to get some AI experience or at least to get some foundational stuff. We're going to be doing lots here with Check Creative, but the different models are a little bit different. Grok is more. Like you can use different voices in Grok or different things, and one is rant. Like you want to get somebody to rant at you.
You can do it. Yeah.
But like the OpenAI tends to be, more filtery. But you can Grok will almost do anything you ask.
Grok will. There's less guardrails on Grok for sure, 100%.
Yeah, it'll almost do any image and stuff like that too, right? So, in future shows, we'll talk about what's the best image one, what's the best video, and Google. Like if you talk about Apple and Amazon, Alexa and Siri are being just completely lost, and I thought that of when they launched Gemini, what a show that was, right? But they just like mic dropped here.
They totally did.
They just like, I mean, they got a ton of resources, and I was just in California as well, San Fran.
Oh yeah, you guys went to.
We were in Silicon Valley, and we went to the headquarters of Google, Meta, Apple. And Tesla. Right. And interesting. Google is very nice. It's a very nice campus. You can walk the campus. You can do everything. And then they got really cheap coffee and salads. like actually impressive. Worth going to visit for sure. Google is. Cool. But obviously they got deep pockets and the cash register. I was walking around in Google and ended up talking to a couple of the employees there.
Right.
And I said, where do they keep all the money? Because I said the cash register must just ring steady. He's like, oh, they don't let us have access to it. But he said they pay really good here.
Yeah. When you did try to get a job at Tesla.
Well, I wanted a tour. I wanted a tour of Tesla. And they said, we only give tours to employees and friends of employees. And I said, well, where do you apply? And she said, that building over there. I said, okay. So I went over there
Oh my gosh.
and I said, can I apply for a job? And she's like, sure. And I said, I'm Canadian, can I still apply? She's like, sure. And I said, can I have a tour? She's like, no, you got to be an employee or a friend of a plan. I said, aren't we friends? She said, okay, come back in 2 weeks, friend.
Oh my gosh, did you apply? You should apply to go through the process.
I haven't yet, but I'll apply for Elon's assistant.
Yeah, there you go.
Or a Mars astronaut. He asked that yesterday. He said, if you want to go to Mars, now's the time to
But
apply.
isn't it a one-way trip?
No, it's a 6 months there, and I think you got to wait 16 months to go, or 18 months to come back. So it's maybe 4 years.
Nice break, actually.
Hey, 4 years. You can go there with Optimus.
What do you do up there for 18 months?
Well, you work with Optimus.
Oh.
I think you saw we watched the video.
I saw
there's
that,
tons of Optimuses that are going up there, right? I mean, the goal is to have the starships leave every hour.
Right.
Like, I mean, the goal, they're refilling those things in an hour or something like that, right? So that's impressive. They say that could be the future of logistics too in the world, to move goods from one part to the other.
That's interesting.
You actually, once you go up out of the atmosphere, you can travel at Mach 10. Well, you've seen when they fly Starship, it only takes a few minutes to get up, right? Like it's less than 3 minutes.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then look at the speed, 27,000 kilometers an hour. Do you know what I mean? And then you can get to wherever
real quick
and just drop back down. There you go.
We're going to do the next show from Mars.
Maybe we'll have a couple of chatbots doing the show for us.
Maybe.
But anyway, we do thank you for watching Now Media, and we'll be back next week with another AI update. And again, there'll be a link down below if you want to sign up for a course and get better and 10x yourself.
Thanks, everyone.